Hi, it's Trent Clark, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, international speaker, longtime coach, professional baseball coaching in 3 World Series. Welcome to Fun Story Friday with Coach Trent. When I was a young kid, I always dreamed about doing big things. I wanted to be a pro baseball player. I even told my teacher when I was 12 years old, you know what life's going to be like for me when I'm 30? Boom, boom, boom. All these things I set out in place. Did it as an assignment at school. It was so important to me at the time. And then I went out and set out these things, and I didn't have a lot of friends and family members around us that were very wealthy. But man, I looked at people on TV and all these things. I used to have a poster in my room that said justification for higher education and sat on my wall, big house on the hill, 5-car garage, like all the cool cars sitting outside. I was motivated for having more in my life. And I could see myself in that life. But then all of a sudden, as I became this teenage tennis player, I saw people of means. And I remember the first time I met a person who had their own jet or a corporate jet in their company. And I was like, whoa, this is serious money. This is really crazy. And I couldn't imagine as a young kid, especially as a kid with vertigo, ever being or wanting to be on these little planes that, tend to have a little bit more turbulence and things like that. But as I got into professional baseball and college sports, I was traveling all the time. Sometimes we'd be on these small planes, and I recognized like, wow, these turbulence events happens sometimes, just like you run into rough roads sometimes wherever you're driving. So it turns out it's not uncommon. And so I got a little bit used to it, right? And then I got the chance to go on my first private jet, learn like an FBO and all these things about private aviation. And I'm like thinking one day as I was taking a private jet into Toronto about like, man, here I was at this 27-year-old guy. And now this is probably the 5th time I've been on a private jet. And I'm thinking like, man, people in my neighborhood growing up could never imagine themselves on a private jet. It was crazy, but I could. And at the end of the day, it's just another mode of transportation, right? And there's corporate jets and there's all sorts of different ways I've flown on these private Lear jets. So when I look back at that, I set that kind of standard, and it's kind of what I wanted, even though I was kind of scared of it, right? Today on our show, on the Winners Find a Way show, I am going to interview Hazel Ortega. And Hazel's a friend of mine. She's a fellow EO member, and love her. She wrote one of the best books called From Bounce Checks to Private Jets. And it's a cool book talking about her challenges of her young life and all these things that she went through. And then all of a sudden, boom, she's in this world of private jet and aviation and all these things, which no one could ever imagine from where, she had come from in her young life. And so it is a very cool story, a little rags to riches, but it is a fun story about the challenge, but painful, a painful experience to go through this. And she tells a story of just hope and for people that there are things out there that will help you and people helping people, and the story of how she gets there. So it is fabulous. So join us today on the Winners Find a Way show, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be fabulous.